Hello. Yes, this is not. Yeah, this did not start well. Yes. Hi, this is a tutorial on how to convert DeviantArt models over to MMD because it was requested by JJJ6 on DeviantArt. And yeah, let's just get into it. Right now, what the model is that I'm converting is the KH3 Nominee model by Kylie Stylish. And I have that file, and I also have this program by Mario Kart 64N, and it's actually pretty useful, but not the current version. The current version is annoying because it's like kind of buggy. But I'm going to leave a link to this program in the description, like just to download it. You can run it through virus scanners and everything, but I use it all the time. What you're going to want to do is with your XPS file, you're going to either want the mesh file or you're going to want the XPS file. The XPS file is usually better. So if you make sure that you have both windows open. Drag this into the exe file, and then a PMX file will pop up. And this is going to take forever to open. I just know it will. There we go. Okay. Now you've got this mess, which looks like a lot of frickin' bones. And that face is a mess because all the bones are sticking out. What you're going to want to do, select the Select Bones option, press Ctrl A, right click, combine scale 3, and make sure you're using the most updated version of PMX Editor. That version is 2.54. You can, even though it's technically illegal because the original person that created PMX Editor doesn't want the program redistributed or edited. Basically, there's a translation of it by NoGP. I can leave a link to that in the description as well. But what you're going to notice right off the bat, first of all, it's really high poly. Like, considering how low poly stuff used to be. But you're going to see all of these bones that, hey, they don't need to be there. And the bones, that's the first step. What you're going to want to do is select all the bones that would be in the same place. Always have the bone tab open first. Really? Okay. And as you can see, it shows the first bone, and that's the bone that you're going to highlight. Control C, Control V. And then that's going to paste it to be all the same thing. And what makes this easier sometimes is if you go to View and press Always on Top, because that'll keep it on top of every window. Now you're going to want to do that for the other side as well. And when you've got those bones renamed, you go to Edit, Bone, Merge Bones with Similar Names, and press Yes. And then, as you can see, the multitude of bones have become the same bone, which means the rigging carried over into the original bone. Now, what you're going to want to be careful for is even if it looks like there isn't a bone there, there might actually be one. So you're going to do the same thing and make sure that sometimes it'll look like it's the same one, but make sure that the symbol in the front, like this one is the one for left, and this one is the one for right. you're going to want to make sure that those are listed the same for which leg it is, because otherwise you're going to have a mess. Okay, and now we're going to save the model. Make sure that you don't save it as the xps.pmx file or whatever the original file is named as. I am so stupid. I did not. Name your model as what you need it to be, and then you've got that. And now you're going to continue on doing the same thing with the arm bones. Now you may think, hey, why aren't you turning these into X rotation bones? Well, the thing is that these bones right here, if you try to turn them into X rotation bones, I've found that usually it breaks the model's arms. So I try not to do that, and I just add the X bones later. Now with the torso, it gets a little bit more tricky, because in Zelenara, there's 2 upper body bones. Where is that? I hate when it does this. Yeah, there's upper body B and upper body 2. You're going to want to combine those 2 bones. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to copy this name, and you're going to want to paste. Oh my god, are you kidding me? You're going to want to copy this name and paste it here. And then you're going to merge the bones. And then you move this bone up. And now you'll see that it's linking to the wrong bone. Or actually, I don't think it's linking to any bone. You're going to want to make it link to whatever bone is the neck bone, because then it's linked properly, and it'll probably move back into the original place it was in. You're going to have to fix that, and then you're always going to have to figure out, yeah, that the pelvis adjust bone you combine with the groove bone. And then you're going to have to figure out which one is, yeah, delete all the unused bones if they're marked with unused, because some models don't have them, but if you type in unused up here and press enter, it'll bring you to whatever bones are not used. It'll play a little noise like it just played. It gets annoying after a while, I'm sorry. And when you press enter and it doesn't bring you to anything labeled unused, that means there's no more unused bones. Now you'll see that you have no weird bones stretching up. Skirt root can be combined with the lower body bone, which is usually more advisable. The lower body bone is the one that has this symbol pointing down. Because, like, in the case of this model in specific, the lower body bone is literally what the skirt bone is supposed to be attached to. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so I think what's going on, and I may be wrong, I think that it's that this bone is, yeah, it's got an offset instead of a link. You're going to want to link this to whatever the second upper body bone is. And you're also going to want to select that and then move it up a little so that you're not, so if you have to select it again, you don't have to go through everything. And there's probably going to be, yep, groove bone is there too. You're going to want to drag that down. drag that down so that it's in the place that it should be. And you're probably, if you're converting KH3 models in specific, you're probably going to get these weird bones off to the side. You're going to want to select those. Yeah, those ones right there. You're going to want to select those with the upper body bone. Like second upper body bone. And press Ctrl V and combine those bones. And now, as you can probably tell, there are some transparency issues with the hair. Like, that's not supposed to happen. So what you're going to want to do is check which level the hair is on. And also delete all the ones that are labeled environment, because you don't need the environments. You can just add SBHs later if you need them. And now if you click back on here, no more transparency problems. You just have to make sure that whatever material the transparent parts are on is above. You've got to make sure that the transparent parts are above, like above is below in the materials list. You're going to make sure that they're below the material that they're having transparency issues with. And while we're in the materials menu, let's do something fun and exciting and remove that tune. Because the problem is that the tunes, they don't make the model better, they actually make it worse. And you can always just apply a skin SBH file later. Now, let's clean up the absolute mess that is the facial bones. We're going to want to select all the facial bones. Why am I going to the hair bones? And also, for KH models, usually the eye bones are in the middle. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to make it just that it selects that way. Because then, you only have the hair bones sticking out. And the eye bones, apparently. Okay, screw you too. Just delete these and replace them with 0 for the eye bones. Because then they're just pointing forwards and not in a different direction. And that's the basic part. Now comes the slightly annoying part. You've got to select all the bones that are not meant to move and make them rotation bones. For example, leave the facial bones, but everything else needs to be, like, everything else except for the groove bone, center bone. Arm bones definitely need to be. Hair bones can become the... Oh no, there's more cloth adjust bones, aren't there? Okay, let's figure out where these are. Oh, they're there. Okay. Usually I'd just combine these with the shoulder bone, because it's usually the best option. And I don't mean the actual shoulder bone, I mean like the shoulder bone. Because these are the shoulder bones, these are the secondary shoulder bones, these are the elbow bones, that's the wrist bone. And as you can see, we've got this going for us now. This is what we've got so far for the model. And now what we're going to start doing is we're going to start connecting the bones. For example, with this model, you're going to start with the legs, and you're going to want the thigh bone to connect to the knee bone. The knee bone should probably already be connected to the ankle bone, but then the ankle bone has to connect to the toe bone. You're going to want to repeat the step for every one of the leg bones. I'm not good at describing things. I am so sorry. And then with the arms, you're going to make sure that the offsets are not connected wrong. Because you see how these say offset? You're going to want to make sure that, because usually the bone directly after, if the model was converted correctly, should be the bone that you're connecting the arm to. And you can leave the wrist bones the same because those stay the same. And now the model's starting to look a little more normal. But as you'll notice, there aren't IK bones. What I usually do is I take the bones from the cage sushi base. Yeah, I take these bones usually, and it creates those into IK bones. But you'll notice that the bones here aren't included in the IKs. That's because these bones right here aren't considered part of the IK structure for the sushi base, and it's a little bit annoying, but it's easily fixable. What you're going to want to do is scroll down until you find the IKs, and then you're going to want to add them to the toe IKs. Make sure that when you add them to the toe IK, you delete whichever bone is the opposite. There. And now they're part of the IK system. And you can adjust the IK bones as needed for whatever model you're using. You're going to make sure when you're importing these that you don't have the unneeded bones. Oh god, don't delete the pinky bones. Okay, now you have this lovely creature. That sounded so creepy. Okay, so for this next part, you're going to need the physical MMD program, because you are going to be making facial morphs. You're probably going to want to start with a basic CSV from another model, because I have CSVs for the morphs. And with the sushi base, I did not delete the extra vertices, so it always has those morphs. And it's annoying. But I can send you the basic CSV that I use for KH3 models. I just don't know if it's... Yes, there we go. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, that's why that's not gonna work. Hold on. Because I actually have made a model with the nominate model. It's just that I did not use the... I didn't use the nominate model itself. I made a base out of it. So I'm also probably going to need to grab that information, which will take a bit, because I don't remember where I put my base. What we're going to do to rename the bones, and it's actually better to rename the bones when you do this, because then you have indication other than at the end of the name, which is a left bone and which one is a right bone. We're going to use something called the batch name editor. And at first I couldn't figure this out for that one, but then it's like, oh, that's how that works. Yeah, we've got that base. Why did I double click that window? Batch name editor. And then we're going to want to go to bone. And I'm just going to select all of these up until the arms, because that's literally the same thing. It's the same structure for... Did I even select batch name editor on this one? Yes, I did. There we go. Just gonna make sure all of them are the same. Yeah, you've always got to make sure that they are the same, otherwise you might screw yourself over. And you're going to want to do the same thing to the other side. It takes some time, but it allows you to edit them all without having all that junk in the middle. And then when you're done, you just press go. And update all the... Yeah, just press OK. And then it'll rename all your facial bones. Now that you've got that, you can just close out of that. I should probably copy and paste that all into a folder. And yes, I attempted a Reddit video. That's why there's an r/mildly infuriating folder. And now, when I load in the CSV from the facials, it should be... Actually, I need to show you guys how to make them from scratch, don't I? Just realized it's part of what I was supposed to do. Okay, so basically we're going to copy this. We're going to create a new bone. Going to call that. And this is blink. And what we're going to want to do for this is we're going to retrieve the eyelids. Eyelid. We're not gonna need the corners. We only need the corners for the smile facial. Okay, I'm gonna... Okay, press Control X or right click and copy index. Go back to the morph tab, right click, paste index. And from there, you are going to go back to MMD. Navigate to where you have your model. And now you'll probably see it's not standing out very well. But now we have this model. Oh my god. Okay. So we're going to want to put this over in the corner. And we're going to want to select this. Man, I wish I could actually have a larger screen than this. This would make it so much easier. Okay. Now you're going to want to pull that down. Pull down the bones. It's the eyelash. I really should be observing this stuff. Maybe you might want to move the corner down a little. Not that much. Not that much. Okay. So now, if it looks like a blinking facial, like that, then you look for the bone, head, eyelid, upper, and going this way, it's ascending this way. This is 1, this is 2, this is corner. Okay, so what happens if I reset that though? It's not that bad. Okay, you're gonna want to check these. Any of the ones that you made green when you were moving, you're gonna want to check those because they have the values down here. So that is negative 0.025. Which means you can just do that and it'll automatically correct. You're gonna want to do it to both of them. Yeah. You're gonna want to do it to both sides. So whatever you have on this side, you're gonna want to have to do it to the other. You can select multiple at once by shift selecting. And that one is also 0.025. Negative 0.025. Okay. And now, if we delete and reload the model, there is a blink facial, and if we use that blink facial, then the model blinks. You basically just do the same thing. Like for the mouth facials in specific, there's this bone. I think it's yeah. There's a bone called head jaw for the KH3 models that if you select that and you move that, if you move it on the x-axis, it'll open the mouth. Like rotate it on the x-axis. You can use that to make mouth facials easier. But this is a basic rundown of how to do the model conversions from Sanguinara. But if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, because I'd like to help people better understand how this works. Just remember that all of the programs that I have used will be linked in the description. And yeah, just feel free to ask me questions. Bye.